Hello. So here we are at the main menu. What are we going to do? We're going to go into the game. Let's just discuss these quickly. Open play is full of everyone. You'll get blown up by annoying people and you'll meet nice people, but it's a bit risky. So let's just think about the private group session. You each basically have one of these and you can invite people to it. There's me and another person in that group. So if you go into that, it's basically like solo play, except you can play with other people. So you've got NPCs and yourself and anyone else you invite. Solo play is not online, it's just you and NPCs, but all these three game modes like interact the same in terms of the background simulation. Like any things that you do in solo play are reflected in open and privates and stuff like that. Before you do anything in the game, go through the training simulations, and if you manage to do all of those, then you've probably set all your controls. So definitely would recommend doing these and take your time. It'll take an entire day to set some of your controls to the point where you feel slightly comfortable. Slightly comfortable. Right, so let's just go into my private group and we'll see what happens. Now, I'm going to show you some outfitting for the Sidewinder and some general menu navigation stuff. So here we are. I'm in my starport of choice, my home system starport. Let's look at the main menu. So, oh no, I haven't. On the left we have various things like the marketplace where you buy and sell stuff. We have the mission board where you get missions from various factions in the system. One of the factions owns this starport. Passenger lounge is basically like missions, except it's just different types of missions involving passengers. Basically deliver the passengers or deliver a passenger to several locations and then come back here, or take someone really, really far and then come back there. The mission board has got similar stuff, but maybe we'll have a look at it quickly now. So these are the type of missions that are available. That's a mining mission where you have to go out and get that stuff, and then when you come back with it, you get the money. This one is going around and killing various people. Look, I have to kill 12 of them to get that much money. That is just going from one location to another to drop off some data, which is pretty good for finding, like just exploring the local systems around your home system. You get to visit stations, and when you do that, you kind of activate information within the game that you can use. Station data, market data. So what we got here, this is a delivery mission. You just take it from one location to another, and when you're in the next location, you can look for more delivery missions and just keep on delivering. Urgent kill order, that's a kind of look for the person, shoot them, then come back to the station. If they've got the little symbol there, that's a planetary mission, that symbol on the right hand side in the middle. And then these ones are also quite good. These are source missions where it's like you have to find the thing, go there, get it, and then come back with it. And if you're lucky, you can search for various, like a few of these missions, stack them all up, and go to one place that can serve all of them. I'm not saying that you can be able to find all these components at one place, but you might find 3 out of 4, so then you can stack 3 of the missions and get lots of money. And then you've got difficult things like that, and you have rescue missions where you have to basically steal cargo from other ships. In this case, the cargo is political prisoners. Then you see the little blue symbol in the bottom left. Those are wing missions. So everyone in a wing can each have a mission, and people in the mission will share that mission. So if we, 4 of us, four people in a wing, each have a mission. This is my mission. I'd share it with the other 3 people. If this mission is completed, we all get this reward. And likewise, I can complete your wing missions as well. That's enough for missions. Contacts is quite useful. Authority is where you cash in bonds and bounties and pay your fines if you make mistakes and incur fines. Combat bonds, if you get to combat zones. Black market is if you find stuff that you can sell which is illegal. So you have to get it into the station first, which means don't get scanned. Power contact, if you're doing power play, then that's where you get your salary. Search and rescue contact, that's if you go to various signal spots that you see around the place and pick up items, you can bring them back and get some money. So good for exploring. Talking about exploring, so when you go to different systems you can scan them, and if they're outside of 12 light years from the system you're trying to sell them, then you can sell them for money. And that improves your reputation with various people, the various minor factions in the system. These are the minor factions in this system, and it varies system to system, and as you can see, that bar on the left is how in I am with those people, and the more in you are, the more missions that are available. See, these ones aren't available because I need to be friendly with them. Crew lounge, basically you can buy crew to do stuff, but they will take 10% of your money, which is actually pretty ridiculous by the end of it, so don't do that. We've got remote workshop, that's if you're doing engineering, which I would definitely recommend you do at some point, and generally you need to farm materials and then buy modules and then spend the materials on the modules by doing engineering stuff. You go through, you spend it, you get your stuff. I pinned those blueprints so I can do it without having to visit the actual engineer, but there's some downsides from doing that as well, like you can't do the customized stuff. And you've got shipyard where you can choose all your different ships. These are all my different ships, blah blah blah. It's generally good to have, I think, lots of different ships because you can have them specifically for different roles. Like kitting out ship and getting modules is really long and it's really annoying sometimes, so generally what I like to do is find a ship, give it a specific purpose, and if I want to do something different I'll start investing in another ship. Advanced maintenance, you need to go here for limpets if you want to get limpets. It's not particularly useful this screen, so... Okay, time to go to the outfitting screen. This is my starter Sidewinder, which I've already customized. I'm going to take you through the outfitting screen, and then I'll show you another way of doing it through Coriolis website. Let's look at the hard points. These are your weapons. You've got a variety of weapons that you can choose. So you've got beam lasers, pulse lasers, and burst lasers, which are your laser-based weapons, which are good for shields, not very good for armor. Then you've got cannons, fragment cannons, and multi-cannons, which are projectile weapons, which are not so good for shields, but are good for armor. And then you've got explosive weapons. Here, missiles and torpedoes, and also... mines, there we go, mines, which are good for an alternative to your kinetic damage there, your projectile weapons. Your armor has different modifiers depending on the different type of damage, kinetic, thermal, or explosive. Okay, utility mounts, let's have a look at what's available here. Chaff launchers, they are good at throwing gimbaled weapons off of you, so if you fire a chaff then people will lose target lock on you and they'll have to either get really close or wait or miss. ECMs not used so often, I don't think. They're good for exploding torpedoes and seeker missiles. You charge them up and then they disable the projectile. Kill warrant scanners are good for getting extra bounties from pirates. You scan them and then you find out any bounties that they have in other systems, and you can get those bounties from interstellar factors or possibly from the system you're already in. Basically a way of getting extra money. Manifest scanners are useful if you're a pirate and you want to see what people are carrying. Point defense turret is useful for shooting down missiles and torpedoes. They take a little while, sometimes they miss, and they won't deal with swarm missiles, the pack hounds, but those are special weapons. Pulse wave analyzer is used in mining. Wake scanners are used for scanning people's wake signatures, which are things that are created when you go into supercruise or into hyperspace, and you use these wake scanners to see where they've gone. You can also use them to get, I'll show you, over here in inventory you can see you've got different materials, but you've also got this data as well, so you can use the wake scanner to get data off of people's hyperspace and supercruise jump signatures. Let's go back to outfitting. We have done utility mounts. Let's go to core internal. So this is your armor. Basically you've got lightweight, which is pretty good. It's the worst, but it's fine. Reinforced is slightly better. Military is slightly better than that. And then you've got these that specialise in terms of the resistances on the right-hand side. But they're super expensive, so only get those if you really want to stay alive. And if you blow up, you obviously have to spend more money insuring your ship and getting a replacement. Power plant. So you basically want the smallest power plant you can to service your needs. Now, most of the time that's a 2A, and then you have to mod it to make it overcharged to service, you know, all the shield boosters, all the stuff. But sometimes, if you're doing interesting builds, then you can maybe go for a smaller power plant. You'll notice there's these different classes: E, D, C, B, and A. We're missing B here because it's not available at the station. A is obviously the best, E is obviously the worst, D is the lightest, C I don't normally use, B, you can't see it here, is generally the integrity is higher. So that might be good if you're doing like a hull tanking ship rather than a shield tanking ship. Let's move on to the thrusters. The thrusters follow the same kind of pattern. However, in this kind of case, you just basically want to get the A-rated thrusters as quickly as you can, because that's going to change your max speed. Frame shift drive, again, you want to get the A-rated one as soon as you can, because that will govern how far you can jump. The only reason you wouldn't get A-rated frame shift drive would be as if you were building a combat zone specific ship, but that's later in the game you get into that. Life support, generally you want to get an A-rated one, but it uses power, so you might want to use a D-rated one instead. Managing your power requirement is kind of interesting, because you want to try and use as little power as possible so that you can spend more power on more important things. So I normally go with either a D or an A for that, maybe keep it as an E if I don't care. So we also have here power distributor. The power distributor manages your power to different systems. You've got shields, you've got the engines, and you've got the weapon systems. And again, same different classes. You want to get to an A class for this basically as quickly as you can. Sensors. Sensors are used to see enemies, and the better your sensors you have, the further you can see them. Okay, so now we've done the core internals. Those are the core internals are the important ones. Optional internals are important, but obviously not as important. So this is my recommendation for the Sidewinder. Let's have a look at the shields. Let's look at the classes. So you see the numbers 2, and then you see the numbers 1. That's how big the slot is. 1 is small, and 8, I think, is probably the largest one. And in each of the sizes, you get the different classes of modules that go in there. So this one, you've got 2 class 2 module slots, and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 internal compartment slots, and then every ship gets a planetary approach suite if you've got Elite Dangerous Horizons. Okay, so we have the first class 2, and first of all, you're going to need shields. So obviously, I think you're going to need the largest shield that you can get, so that's why it's gone into a class 2 slot. You might want to go with a 2A, but then it's slightly expensive. Look at this class C, but this is a bi-weave shield. The difference between a bi-weave and a normal shield generator is the bi-weave is less powerful, but it regens faster. So if your shields go down, it takes less time for them to come back up, and also they heal slightly faster as well. So I quite like bi-weave shields. With larger ships, you can use shield boosters to make them stronger. If you look at down in the bottom left, you can see the shield strength. So, you know, a 2A is only a little bit better. Is it worth it? It's good for if you need to have max shields that last as long as possible. If you're doing something that's in combat, you've always got the option of, you know, boosting away out of combat, waiting for your shields to come back up, and then going back in. And in that case, a bi-weave shield generator would be better for that. Then I've chosen the planetary vehicle hangar. I think it's nice to have planetary vehicle hangar on your ship, because if you do go to a planet and you want to explore, then you can. If you don't have it, obviously you can't. Now, if you wanted to build a more specialist build, then yes, obviously you get rid of the planetary vehicle hangar. But you can do that in your own times. Make sure to buy your SRV, otherwise when you get there, you won't have a vehicle. Right, let's have a look at these Class 1 slots. Let's start with just looking at all the modules. Auto field maintenance. I think that's what it stands for. Automatic. Auto field maintenance. There we go. You can use these to heal some of your modules, most of your modules, not all of your modules. You do it for if you're going exploring. Sometimes you take a little bit of damage when you're going into Super Cruise and coming back out. Cargo racks, so each capacity is like a ton of storage. Until you get a larger ship, I mean, these are all tiny, so yeah, I mean, 2 tons of storage, you're not going to make any money selling cargo, so I probably wouldn't recommend trading to start with until you got a larger ship. And even when you get a larger ship, the basic entry small ships that do trading are sitting targets, so it's a thrilling experience, but it can also be a waste of money and time, so have a think about what you want to do. Let's talk about limpets. So limpets, you got collection limpets, fuel limpets, hatch breaker limpets, prospecting limpets, and repair limpets. You can buy limpets from the advanced maintenance screen that we looked at earlier, and one limpet can be used in all of those modules, and each time you use a limpet, and it does whatever module you fire off. So collection limpets are good for collecting cargo from space. If it's floating around and you can't bother to use your cargo scoop, then you can use collection limpets. If you target the thing in space, that collection limpet will go to it, it'll bring it back, and then it will die. If you don't target anything and you just fire off your collection limpet, it will go around, it'll come out. If there's anything to pick up in the vicinity, it will just go pick up everything and then come back, keep on going out, coming back. So that's generally what you want to do. It's really annoying when you get a collection limpet, you send it out and it comes back and it dies. Okay, so we got fuel transfer limpets. That's what the fuel rats do. That's a player organised faction that come around at a drop of a hat to save you. They are amazing. You run out of fuel, they give you fuel. Amazing. Hatch breaker limpets, these are good for pirates. You use them to force open the cargo hatch and drop and make your target drop cargo. They're also good for if you're doing the hostage missions where you have to save the hostages. Okay, let's talk about prospect limpets. You use them if you're going mining. You fire them at an asteroid, and the asteroid therefore then afterwards produces more resources than it would otherwise, and it also tells you what's in the asteroid as well. Repair limpets, I don't think I've ever used these, but they must do something. Okay, so moving on, FSD interdictors. Use these to drag people out of Super Cruise. Probably try and get the A-rated one, but they're slightly expensive. Flight assists are, if you're doing trading, then it's quite nice having an advanced docking computer. I've never really managed to get the Super Cruise assist to do anything useful, but they're there. If you want to use them, that's your choice. Fuel scoops are really useful. I would probably recommend getting a fuel scoop for all of your crafts. There's nothing worse than running out of fuel. You can get fuel from stars. You can scoop stars. Only specific types of stars are scoopable, and you can look that up yourself. You can also filter your galaxy view so that when you're plotting a course, you only plot a course through scoopable stars, which is kind of useful. Fuel tanks are if you want to extend your jump range, basically. It means that you can jump large distances, and if you are going through areas of space that don't have scoopable stars, then there's a better chance that you'll get from one scoopable star to another by having a larger fuel tank. Now, obviously, the problem with fuel tanks is that they are kind of like cargo racks. They use up space and they use up weight, so your jump range is going to reduce when you're carrying more cargo or more fuel. Right, refineries are needed for mining. When you go to a mining place and you collect your mining fragments, you scoop them up or use collection limpets. They go into your refinery. The refinery's got a load of bins. You can see the bin count on the right hand side. You want to have the largest number of bins, because the more bins you have, the less faffing around in your refinery management menu, emptying things that you don't need because you've got more things that you want, but there's different things and only a certain number of slots. and it's kind of annoying. So get the biggest refinery you can. Now, shield cell banks are useful for recharging your shields. When you use them, it produces heat. They use a lot of power, and you only get a certain number of shots. So only use them if you're using a shield tank build. Let's also talk. We've talked about shield generators and surface scanners. So surface scanners, a detailed surface scanner. It's just one thing. You use it to scan rings for hotspots if you're doing mining, and you also use it for exploration to get more money from exploration and to also find out more information from the planets and asteroids, bodies, whatever you're scanning. Right, so we've talked about all the optional internals. Let's just talk about this build. So hard points, beam lasers are good for taking down shields quickly, but they use, well, they're slightly inefficient in terms of the capacitor usage. But from my point of view, you can recharge the capacitor in between shooting, and what you really want to do is get as much damage down on the target in the space of time that you're looking at it and you're shooting at it. So you could swap that for a burst or a pulse if you want, but I think a beam is better. It produces more heat as well, which is a bad thing. In terms of the second slot, you could choose a multi-cannon, or you could choose a fragment cannon. I wouldn't recommend a cannon, because that's for larger ships. The problem with these guns is that they've got piercing, armor piercing, you see in the top right. That's quite small, and you'll only get a large armor piercing with a larger weapon, like a slot 2 or a slot 3 or a slot 4. With these slot 1s, they're not going to be particularly great, so it's more efficient, because you'll be fighting smaller craft anyway, to be using multi-cannons rather than cannons. Fragment cannons are good for getting large damage per second, but you have to be really, really close. So you're either on the heels or you're doing jousting, flying past really close, really fast. In this instance, I've chosen missiles. They're quite good because you get fixed ones that just fire straight, and you get seeker ones that lock on and follow the target. They're good for if the target is running away, or if you just want to take that armor down as quickly as you possibly can. It's good because people don't normally, these are NPCs as well, so who knows what they're doing, but the armor is normally weak against explosives, and sometimes people try and protect more against kinetic. So you can't protect against both, so people normally just go with kinetic and leave explosive out. So you can take advantage of that. In this instance, I chose a seeker missile rack because it's kind of fun, and I don't really expect to have to deal with ammo too much, because I think I'll probably be going backwards and forwards for ammo anyway. Okay guys, so we've gone through the outfitting there. I hopefully have shown you a little bit about your craft. Another thing you can do is go to the internet for Coriolis.